All right. Let's do this show here. I feel like everything went completely off the rails right after I got here for no apparent reason. And my hand hurts. What's up with that? Anyway, morning. Thanks for tuning into the show today. Thanks for being here, being a part of it. All right, let's take a look at radio news to start the program today. I know it's already a half hour into the program, but I feel like we're officially starting the program now. Sirius XM satellite radio to bring free ad-supported radio to automobiles. So in other words, they're just going to do regular old radio. Yeah, Sirius XM been struggling for a while. And we've talked plenty about Sirius XM on this station. You know, I think as far as competition goes, for K-Bear, anyhow, that's about it. You know, Octane. And I know some of you fools will tune into Octane sometimes. It's fine. I'm friends with people at Octane. I mean, it's not actually fine. You should be listening to us. Forget about Octane. Well, soon enough, if you drive the right type of vehicle and have the right type of radio, you won't have to pay for Sirius XM anymore. You can just listen to it in its low-quality bit rate with ads like regular radio. Yeah, this is kind of weird. Not the fact that they're going to implement ads. That's not surprising to me at all because you're starting to see this with all of the streaming services, YouTube, etc. You know, we're getting back to the age where ads are just going to be in everything because all of these services, even with their subscriptions, are not making money. You know, the day will come when, well, and actually it might already be that way, where if you have the right type of, you know, even Spotify account, you're going to get ads. If you listen to podcasts on Spotify, you absolutely get ads, even if you have a paid subscription. So I'm sure the music thing's coming. But back to Sirius XM, what's weird about this is you have to have a specific type of radio and a specific type of vehicle. You got to drive certain vehicles from Cadillac, Chevrolet, GMC, Ford, Dodge, Subaru, Volvo, and Nissan. So I guess my Toyota Tundra's out. Plus, it's old. I'm sure I don't have the right type of Sirius radio. It's got to be a 360L hybrid radio. So I don't know if that's a newer one or I don't know the difference between the Sirius radios. But then this is what's really funny. It's invite only. And if you don't use the service at least once every 60 days, they will automatically and permanently deactivate it. Can you imagine that? Like, if you don't listen to K-Bear once every 60 days, you're never allowed to listen to it again. Well, I mean, I guess you could go in and pay. But yeah, I guess they're losing a lot of subscribers. Let's see. Second quarter, they lost 73,000. And a lot of their subscribers are trial subscribers. Like, I'll admit, the only times I've ever activated Sirius XM in a vehicle is when I was going out of town and going to be driving around in the middle of nowhere. I was like, I could get a free trial for the week. And then, yeah, I get back to civilization and I let it lapse because I don't know. If there was something on there that I just had to have, sure, I'd pay for it. But I don't know. I'd rather listen to podcasts than listen to Stern. And I think the music channels just sound bad. You know, they're low quality bit rate. Like when you used to download MP3s off LimeWire. I had friends that did this, never me. You know, never me. Friends that would download MP3s off Napster. And this is why people thought MP3s sounded bad back in the day. They were just encoded badly. Like, if you properly encode an MP3, it sounds identical to a CD. I guarantee nobody out there has ears good enough to differentiate between a 320 MP3 and CD audio quality. But if you've got like a 128 kilobyte MP3, you might be able to notice that, or especially lower. So that's what listening to Sirius XM music channels sounds like to me. crappy MP3s. But again, I got friends that work there. I'm not anti-Sirius XM. I just think it's funny that they're like, hey, we've got a new thing we're doing. This is new. It's called the free access plan, and it's just regular radio. Just like what we do. Just here's some music, and then, we're powered by our sponsors. And that's what you get to hear right now. Our loyal sponsors. Well, those of you listening on demand, you don't have to put up with the sponsors, but you should still support places like the College of Eastern Idaho, Intermountain Auto Recycling, and is it Select Quote Insurance? Sure! I believe that's the client name. All proud sponsors of my show. So there you go. Even if, actually what I did do right there was do an ad. And that's how Sirius XM gets away with ads. Even if you're not listening to their free access plan, it's also how a variety of other services get away with being ad-free. They just have the hosts talk about the sponsors. Yeah, it doesn't sound like a commercial, but it is. So, yeah, you're busted, podcasters who are like, yeah, radio with all their ads and stuff. By the way, did you hear about blah, blah, blah? Yeah, we see what you're doing. We know what an ad is, all right? Just because it isn't produced doesn't mean it ain't an ad. Okay, so I mentioned in the first failed break of the day, I don't know, I guess I technically did do a break. I just felt like I was a little bit flustered and things were not going properly. The first break of the day, I was talking a bit about the new Opeth song that I was a little bit confused on because I could only find the radio edit, and I didn't understand why there would even be a radio edit because the song is super progressive. It's also very heavy. Opeth fans are just filled with joy this morning as for the first time in I don't even know how long, an extremely long time, an Opeth song has been released with heavy vocals in it, with some death metal growls. And that definitely caught me by surprise. I have no problem with prog rock Opeth that's not heavy. I think it's great. I played a song yesterday that's just straight proggy, no heavy Opeth. But this song's really cool. I don't know how you say the name of this symbol. Let me see if I can Google it here. Because the songs are all this symbol and then a number. How do you pronounce this symbol? Let's see here. Okay, it doesn't say online. Anyway, it's some kind of a symbol. You can make the symbol with a keyboard. So some kind of symbol in one. We're going to call the song One. All right? I finally found a copy of it. I'm going to play it for you right now. New Opeth. I found the full-length version that's not the radio edit. And I believe the radio edit, all they did was chop off this symphonic stuff at the end of the song. But I'm leaving that in. I like it. So we're gonna hear the full-length version of the track. If you've never heard Opeth before, this is, again, super proggy. It's not going to be catchy or anything, but I'm digging it as a huge Opeth fan. And I am super stoked to hear more new stuff from the mighty Opeth. If you're listening to the on-demand version of this show, I don't know, Google up new Opeth, and you can get all the details on what's going on with that band. Got a new album on the way, dropping in October 11th, The Last Will and Testament. Very exciting. I mean, that band, they always deliver. It's always something fresh. You're always getting something different than the last album. You never know what to expect. I love Opeth. They're so good. And it's fun to hear them return to doing some heavier stuff. So that's pretty cool. Still super proggy, super weird. I don't know what to expect from the rest of the album. But it's great. Great. All right. Let's dig into some content here. All right. On Ask Reddit, people wondering what genuinely useful thing has been ruined by stupid people. And of course, the first answer, the internet. has it been ruined? I don't think the internet has been ruined by stupid people. Now, once the internet became able to be accessed via phone, the internet definitely got dumber. I've talked about that before. When you had to know how to use a computer, when it was all text back in the day, like old school internet. Some of you may not remember. Old school internet that was text only. Back then, it was all nerds and it was very different. But I wouldn't say it's been ruined, all right? It's more annoying in ways, but also it's a million times better in other ways, all right? I remember when you couldn't get a photo on the internet, okay? The first time I saw a photo, like downloaded a photo, it took like an hour because this was dial-up internet. It was super slow. If you don't know about dial-up internet, you're younger than me, I guess. But the first time I saw a photo, it was like, whoa, check it out, a photo. I got a photo from somewhere else on my computer. This is crazy. And then video. I remember downloading the original episode of South Park on Real Player. Real Player, I think, is dead. And it was a screen on my computer monitor that was about as big as a flip phone video would be. All right? Little tiny video. It was all grainy and crappy. And that was like, whoa, I got a video. And now people just watch videos all day on their phones in high definition. All right? The internet has not been ruined. Okay? Social media has been ruined by stupid people. I will say that. Social media used to be a lot better. But it's not only stupid people, it's greedy people. It started when MySpace ruined the homepage. When MySpace ruined the homepage and destroyed itself, and then everybody went to Facebook, which Facebook was not anywhere near as satisfying of a platform as MySpace was back in the day. MySpace was great till they ruined it. If you didn't get to use MySpace, you missed out on the golden age of social media. It was fantastic. Facebook sucks. And it's definitely just gotten worse and worse. But I would still say that, has it really been ruined? I don't know. Social media has been ruined. Social media sucks. Aside from good old Reddit, and even Reddit can be pretty dumb. All right, AirBNB. Oh, another genuinely useful thing that's been ruined by stupid people. Stupid people are greedy people. I think it's been ruined by greedy people, not necessarily stupid people. Because AirBNB, yes, used to be awesome. I loved it so much when I first found AirBNB. And that wasn't just at the time when it was like, hey, you want to come crash on my couch? That was like the original Airbnb. But no, that fine period there where people were renting out cool places for a reasonable price. When you could get something awesome for the same price you could get a hotel. I haven't rented an Airbnb in years because the fees have gotten to be so expensive. It's just not worth it. It's, I guess, reserved for the wealthy now. It's unfortunate because I stayed in some awesome places on Airbnb, and I would love to be able to go travel, hit a sweet Airbnb, but I just can't afford it. Just can't afford it. Again, I don't think it was stupid people that ruined it. I think it was greedy people. What else does the internet claim was ruined by stupid people? So far, we have the internet, which has not been ruined, and Airbnb, which was not ruined by stupid people. Let's see. In my city, there was this bike sharing project, amazing for students and young people. Within 3 days, all of the bikes got stolen or badly damaged. Okay, is that stupid people or terrible people? Sounds more like terrible people to me. Yeah. I mean, I guess it could be stupid people. OG Sudafed. Now, that's funny. Sudafed, I don't know if it was ruined by stupid people. I mean, it was ruined by people who were like going Heisenberg style and making meth, right? So they put out a new version of Sudafed that didn't have the active ingredient, and it just doesn't really work, right? I mean, I don't know if those are stupid people. They're, again, greedy people. Churning out a horrible drug just for a profit with no thought to the damage it's going to do to people. Yeah, most of these come down to greed. As far as I could tell here, not stupidity, just greed. Oh my gosh, I have got to get ahead of the game today. I have a feeling it's going to be one of those days where eventually I start panicking because I'm not getting enough done. Like, I'm looking at the clock here going, oh no, there is stuff I'm supposed to have had done by now. Oh well, all I really got to do is get ready for like freak news and traffic school and stuff, right? Oh, my goodness. I don't know, I was just texting with my girlfriend. She was asking me about, internet that was text only. And I'm trying to think back because my memory's garbage. It's terrible. And I was thinking back to when my friend Jesse was first showing me the internet. And this was, what he was calling the internet. And this was my first exposure to anything internet related. And he was on these BBS systems that, he wasn't using there was no Google back then, like no Chrome. The first web browser I remember using was like Netscape, maybe. There were some other ones back then too. Man, it's been a long time. But yeah, my first exposure to the internet were these BBS systems, and it was like, it was nerd central here. There were certainly not like images. It was more almost like a precursor to something like Reddit, because you just leave messages. They were like a precursor to message boards. And perhaps at the same time, there had to be like the AOL available. But my friends were like major computer nerds, so they were into some different type of stuff. And I remember he would, I'm trying to remember the terms for a lot of these things because it's just been so long. We're talking like 30 years ago or something. That's a long time for me. But yeah, my first exposure to internet, it was all just text-based. People would just get in there and essentially chat. It was like pre-chat room. But maybe that stuff was going on at the same time, and that's just where my computer nerd friends would spend their time online. I don't know. But that's when I think about old internet, that's what I remember. And then later, it moving to, web browser run systems and things like that. And I remember maybe I was just a nerd too, because I hung out on this is like old school social media. There was a website called, I think it was called Arcadium. And it was another place where you just chat. Is that the name of the website? What happened to the Arcadium website? I don't know. The internet doesn't seem to say. Maybe that wasn't the name of it. Again, my memory is so garbage that I just don't know. But yeah. The internet was certainly different back then. And it was, even the people who were using mainstream internet, I think when MySpace first launched, I think that was pretty much still just nerds. That might have been the point when other people started using the internet a little bit more, because MySpace was definitely popular, but it was nerdy. You had to, know how to use HTML and things like that to design your page, which wasn't hard, but it was a great learning situation where you could go, okay, how did that person do that on their page? That looks really cool. You could customize, make your page look neat and add a little bit of personality to it. It's not like modern social media where it's all just bland. You'd have your song that would pop up, your song that would play right when people came to your page. You could pummel them with music. It was good. Yeah, I don't know. I kind of miss it. I had a lot of fun on MySpace. Maybe it's probably one of those, things that if I actually could log into it now, as it was, I'd be like, oh, this is garbage. But it was nice from a band standpoint. Like if you sent out bulletins and things, people would actually get your posts. They'd actually get your messages. You could actually build up a band and a brand online for free. You didn't have to pay a bunch of money for ads. It was effective for marketing back then. Anyway, I'm babbling on. I'll be back in a second. Freak news, powered by Grease Monkey, voted Idaho's best oil change. Let's go. 16-foot tall pigeon sculpture to land in New York. That's creepy. Yeah. At the Highline Plinth, I don't know where that is. I've only been to New York one time. I walked around Manhattan, was like, neat. It was a cool city, for sure. I really enjoyed my time there. I'd like to go again and spend more time, check out a lot more things. But I did see the gigantic hot dog that we talked about on air when I was in Manhattan over at Times Square. Giant hot dog. Didn't get to see it shoot confetti, but still seeing a giant hot dog was cool. And I'd go see the creepy 16-foot pigeon as well. I'm down for weirdness, even if birds, they scare me. All right, what else do we got here? Speaking of that area, a Connecticut man driving back from upstate New York Park was bitten by a rattlesnake. He tried to help and ended up in a coma. Okay, listen. I understand trying to help animals, okay? If you happen to see a snake in the road, I mean, if you're going to try to get it out of the road, use a really long stick. Because, yeah, this was a timber rattlesnake, which is rare in that area, I guess, but they're out there. There are rattlesnakes in the Connecticut area. And so the guy goes out and he threw a shirt over it and tried to pick it up so it bit him. And he's like, and yeah, I mean, it was a rattlesnake. It messed him up, and hopefully he will pull through. I mean, that's kind of scary. I understand trying to help animals, but don't try to help rattlesnakes, okay? I mean, take a close look. If you see the rattle on the tail, again, if it's a snake, period, long stick or something, I don't know. I'd feel terrible, because if I saw a snake in the road, snakes, kind of like birds, they scare me. So I don't know if I'd be stopping to help it. I'd be getting out, shoot, just yelling at it from far away. You get out of the road, snake. There's cars. Come on, get. Do snakes listen if you yell, get? I don't know. What else do we got for freak news? Back to school shopping is too expensive. Yeah, it always has been. I can only imagine what it's like now. Holy cow. Let's see. 75% of parents say that schools are asking families to buy too much in preparation for the new school year. Well, yeah, I would say that I remember when I was buying my kids school supplies, sometimes you'd be like, why is the teacher asking us to provide this item? This seems like a pretty useless item. Are they actually going to use this? Maybe they use it once throughout the year. It's like, you're just stockpiling, aren't you? Wow. Respondents to the survey say they plan to spend an average of $586 per child to go back to school. So like clothes and all the supplies. And $586. Sorry, parents. I'm not trying to spread bad news here. It's just, that's crazy. Wow. Well, shop for a bargain. Do whatever you can to look around, find some good deals. That's the only advice I have. Hit the dollar stores for what you can. Yikes. $586. Yeah, I hope that, this cost of goods and services can correct itself a bit. Some people take seasoning their food very seriously. Like, I'm not going to say who, but I remember years ago, I think I was cooking eggs or something, and I didn't put salt and pepper in the eggs. And a person really freaked out on me about this. And I was like, just put your own on. Like, just get the salt and pepper and put some on there. And it was like a major deal. Thankfully, it didn't end up like this story out of South Carolina, where 2 people were arrested and charged with assault after insults over unseasoned chicken turned into a brawl involving raid bug spray, a gun, and a knife. Yeah, cops showed up and I guess had to arrest. Which one of these guys? Or they both got arrested. You know, if you get in a fight and you're both coming at each other with weapons, you're both going to go to jail. Oh, wow, this was a guy and his grandmother. Okay. I missed that part somehow when I scanned the article. So, you got Anthony Harper asked why he didn't season the chicken that was cooking so it would crust up. He said he didn't know how to cook, that the grandmother would season it. So then Hope Harper called him a dumb dog. He became angry. Now, okay, who is Hope? Is Hope the grandmother? This story's kind of confusing. Hope Harper called Anthony a dumb dog. Anthony became angry, shoving Hope into a table, punched her 5 times. The two continued to fight alongside another victim. Another person in the house came out of the kitchen and fired a warning shot from a 9mm handgun into the ceiling to break up the fight. Hope went into the kitchen, grabbed a steak knife. Anthony broke free and ran to his grandmother's door. Hope then started swinging the knife toward Anthony. Then the grandmother came out, grabbed a broom, and started swatting Hope until she walked away and put the knife up. This is not a Florida story. This is North Carolina. So Anthony grabs a can of Raid and sprays Hope in the face. Then Hope grabs the can and sprayed him back. Anthony and Hope wanted to press charges against one another, so the sheriff's office took both of them to jail. This is over unseasoned chicken. All right, I get it. If you want a nice crust on the chicken, you got to season it at the right time. But still. It's not the end of the world. It's not worth going to jail. It's not worth raid to your... I don't know. They have the same last name. So the article doesn't say their relation. I would assume brother and sister, cousins. I don't know. It unfortunately doesn't say. But they're both in jail. And poor grandma. You know... Grandma's old. She's put in a lot of time on this planet. Don't put grandma through this kind of stress. It's messed up. All right, local bands, I'm here to help you with some marketing. This is actually probably a terrible idea, but I got to talk about something. I found a post online, what is the most toxic fan base on the internet? And toxic fan bases generally react. They're reactors. So, I've thought about this before, trolling certain online fandoms to see if I could get them to attack me. Why? I don't know. I guess it's boredom, because it doesn't seem like a good way to build a brand. But it could be because of the way that algorithms work. You know, if you're on social media and you happen to get a lot of interaction on a post, more people are going to end up seeing that post. So if you anger a bunch of, say, K-pop fans, that could potentially push your post into the stratosphere and you might end up bringing in some new fans. So maybe as a local band, you just start stirring it up with some of the K-pop groups. I don't know. According to the internet, most K-pop fan bases, the most toxic fan bases online. I'm surprised they didn't say Swifties. I thought Swifties would have come in as the top post, top response, but maybe it's buried a little bit here. Steven Universe fans are apparently really bad. Isn't that just a kid's cartoon? Huh. Wow. Okay, I'm reading some of the responses here, and they're so dark, I'm not even going to talk about them on air. I would say that's a toxic fan base. Let's see. Fans of the keto diet? Somebody says they joined a keto diet page on Facebook because they did the diet a few years ago, considered doing it again. And the comments that are left on every post asking for advice, constant criticism, personal attacks, snide remarks. It's difficult finding anything on there that's not toxic. Yeah, if you're trying to help people make better health decisions, maybe it's good to be positive and nice. Help people out a little bit, huh? Oh, it's the internet. Yeah. To be honest, everyone's a jerk these days. I wouldn't say everyone. Just a lot of people. Just a lot of people. All right. Yeah, I've talked plenty about some of these manly influencers like Andrew Tate, yeah, they do have terrible fan bases. And again, guys, do not look to people like that for inspiration on how to be a good man, how to be a real man, all right? You're going to get nowhere in life looking to dudes like that for how to be a real man, okay? You're not impressing anybody. Just stop it. If you need advice on how to be a real man, call and talk to me and Jade, okay? We'll give you some good advice, all right? You're never going to find a quality relationship if those are the type of guys that you look toward for inspiration on how to be a man, all right? You're going to end up old and sad and alone, so don't do it. What else do we have? Undertale? Undertale has a toxic fan base? I don't know. It's a great game, a wonderful video game that I really need to play again. But I'm completely unfamiliar with the fan base. I mean, anything that gets popular has a terrible fan base. Like, years ago, the Ghost fan base really annoyed me. They seem like they've toned it down now and passed on irritation to Sleep Token and Bad Omens fans, which I would say are toxic and annoying fan bases. Hopefully, over time, it'll shift to some new band, you know? But for now, Sleep Token and Bad Omens in the rock and metal worlds, holding the crown for the most toxic and irritating fan bases. But again, that happens when anything gets popular. League of Legends, toxic fan base. I've never played that game, don't know much about it, so I can't chime in on that. Reality show or children's cartoon fan bases. I would assume if you're a fan, like a hardcore fan of a reality show, there's a lot of arguing that goes on because people don't understand that a lot of that is scripted out and things like that. So I could see arguments happening over, the way things play out. Or, I mean, those shows are filled with toxic people, the cast. So anyway, I'll try to think of some more. Toxic fan base. Again, I'm surprised the Swifties aren't on this list so far. That's kind of strange. They must be downvoting those responses into oblivion because there are so many Swifties. Everybody knows that in the current age, the most toxic fan base is Swifties, right? Come on. Earlier, we also talked about AirBNBs and how AirBNBs used to be awesome. Now they've just gotten to be crazy expensive. Well, I may have found a way to offset the price. What you need to do is bring about 10 computers with you and mine crypto during your entire stay. Now, the Airbnb host is eventually going to end up with, a $1,500 electric bill. But, yeah, apparently there was some Airbnb host on TikTok who said they had a guest for about 3 weeks that just mined crypto on their computers. 10 computers. The whole time they were there. Now, people online say, well, they probably made about $100,000 in those 3 weeks. $1,500 electric bill, nothing. And now the host has had to put in the description for the property, no crypto mining allowed. I wonder how much or how often this happens. How common this is. You probably shouldn't try to just stick it to the Airbnb hosts. They are trying to run a business, and I understand, maybe cleaning fees. Everything's gone up in price. I try to not complain too much. Well, maybe. But I just miss being able to afford Airbnb. I loved Airbnb, and I just can't afford it anymore. Now it's just whatever hotel I can get that doesn't totally suck, Jump on Hotwire, look at the ratings and whatever's somewhat value. Like, I guess that's what we got to do. But it was sure fun when you could, rent a house in the middle of the woods for the same price as a hotel room. Not no more. Rich people only. Anyway, that's one way to offset the price, though, I guess, if you know how to mine crypto. I'm sitting here doing it live. It's Friday. It's Victor Wilt. Peaches will be back on Monday. Got to pick him up from the airport tonight, as a matter of fact. So today's the final day of just me doing whatever. And if you want to ask me a question, sure. Call me up, 208-535-1015. We can do Ask Me Almost Anything live on air. If not, I don't know. We'll take a look at what we got here. Let's take a look at something that seems to be overpriced, but in reality is totally worth it, according to the internet. All right. Apparently hiring movers to move. I have never used movers to move. I would imagine next time that I move, that would sound like a great idea. Because there are a handful of items in my house that are miserable to move. Speaking of Peaches, he's helped me move a few of these things before. Moving kind of sucks, doesn't it? It's not great. I mean, it is fun getting into a new place, but the actual act of moving is terrible. And my main issue is I hoard books. I literally have a few thousand books. Hardback books are really heavy. And when you have thousands of books, you have box upon box upon box upon boxes of these heavy books. And they're just terrible to move. And, a good number of them are collectible, so I, wrap them up all carefully. It takes forever. I mean, I've cleared a lot of crap out of my house. I try to not hoard anything except that. But, oh, man. I don't think I'd let movers pack up my books, though. Pack the boxes. Sure, lug them, but yeah. All right, spending money on health. Yeah, I will say, it's annoying paying medical bills every month, but it's worth it to get the care. Yeah. When I was younger, I'd just not do that. I'd just put stuff off. Not a good idea. So always racking up that full deductible. You're welcome. You're welcome, doctors. Take all my money. I should have been a doctor. All right, high quality mattress is always going to end up on these lists. Yeah, we get it. Mattresses are extremely expensive. Make sure you get a good one. And, here's the problem. They're always different from when you try them out. I've yet to find the perfect mattress. I don't know. I wish you all the luck in the world on that one. Wish you all the luck in the world on that one. All right, what else do we got here? Worth spending money on, even though it seems overpriced. Professional advice when you have a complex or unorthodox problem. One thing I will recommend is, do you need to talk to somebody? Get yourself a little bit of that counseling. It'll cost you some money, but most insurance companies cover it. It's very beneficial to your existence. And in here, they're pointing out things like mechanical issues, accounting, medical stuff, calling in an expert. But it's probably a good idea. Dental care, certainly worth spending the money. I wouldn't say I'm bad about that. I mean, I get my dental stuff dealt with, but I have had horrible dental, issues my whole life because my mouth was overcrowded with teeth. I'm sure you heard me talk about when I got braces, had to have screws in my jaws and stuff. Try to do the radio show and, oh my God, there's so much metal in my face. It was not fun doing radio back in those days, but prevented further problems down the line. And nothing worse than putting off a dental problem till all of a sudden you wake up one day and you feel like you're going to die because you've got some kind of infection. Go to the dentist, people. Go to the dentist. Man, none of these are fun. I was hoping they'd come up with some overpriced but in reality worth it stuff that's fun. High quality headphones? Yeah, to a degree. It depends. Find the headphones you like. And don't let anybody convince you that any particular brand is what you need to get. It's like when I talked about guitars the other day. You got to get them in your hands, feel them, find the guitar that's right for you. There's no such thing as the perfect brand or the perfect guitar. Most of my favorite guitars are not guitars that the average guitarist would go for, and vice versa. I've played a lot of very expensive, supposedly, top of the line guitars. And I'm like, it's nice, but I wouldn't buy it. It doesn't feel right in my hands. Cream cheese. Is there a big difference between generic and Philadelphia? All right. Well, this post was a letdown. It's all just medical stuff and mattresses over and over. Note, if you're a Reddit user, check and see if somebody's already said mattresses. We don't need to see that over and over again. Boring. Thank you again for tuning in to the Victor Welch Show. This program's a production of River. Why can't I say that? God.
Tough to say. Riverbend Media Group.
Riverbend Media Group. This program's a production of God. This program's a production of Riverbend Media Group. To contact the show or for more information, hit us up at riverbendmediagroup.com.